When We Were Young 2024 all album plays, 57 records, some that we've heard, some that we haven't, but we're hearing them all in order to review them ahead of the festival.
Yes, we're starting to get through it, and we're getting ready to shake our asses here.
Emo Social Club is going to review all of them. On this episode, we are reviewing Viva la Cobra by Cobra Starship. Lizzie, before we get into our thoughts and our opinions on this, tell us a little bit more about Cobra Starship and Viva la Cobra.
So this was Cobra Starship's second album that came out October 23rd, 2007 via Fuel by Ramen and, of course, Decaydance. Mr. Peter Wentz is back. This was also produced by fellow Fall Out Boy, Patrick Stump. This peaked at number 80 on the Billboard 200 and number 19 on the alt album Billboard chart as well. So the reason why Cobra Starship in general was also created was because Gabe Saporta, the lead singer, who also used to be in the band Midtown, homies of the podcast, went on a vision journey and he found out that he had to make this band. Casual things that white men do. He was also signed originally to Fuel by Ramen and Decaydance because he made a parody song called Holla Back Boy, which is obviously reminiscent of Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani. Put it on MySpace and got signed. The age-old tale of what you could do back then and get a record deal. It's great.
You know, I read that same thing, and it really ignores the fact that Pete Wentz was such a huge Midtown fan and loved Midtown and like obviously wanted to work with Gabe from Midtown. Fall Out Boy was so heavily influenced by this guy's band. Oh, but I'll only sign him when he does this parody song. It's like, no, you just finally got a good reason and like could make it like make sense.
You found your way in. You said, this is it.
Yeah, like, no, this is a band that was heavily influential on you. You wanted to work with Gabe in any capacity you could. Don't play.
We know what you did.
And you should, dude. You signed all of your friends. Good.
You literally said, I got the homies.
Let the homies eat, dude. When I eat, we all eat. That's good.
That's what you're supposed to do for the homies.
That made Chicago, dude. That
For
made
real.
the Chicago scene for a while there, man.
Half of the band literally joined the band because they emailed Rob Hitt from Midtown and said, hey, can you help us be in this band? And he was like, okay. They had 2 iTunes bonus tracks and included a cover of the Commodores' 3 Times a Lady and the Spanish version of Guilty Pleasures.
He's from Uruguay.
Yes.
How tall do you think Gabe Saporta is?
He's a tall man.
Gabe Saporta is 6'4". The fuck you doing up there, man? I think tall singers have it hard. Yes, I am speaking
Brian,
from...
calm down.
I think that Academy Is would have been so much more popular if William Beckett wasn't also 6'4". I think that Academy Is had it harder because William Beckett was too tall, too good looking, had too luxurious of hair, wrote music too good.
His swag was too different.
His swag too different. His bitch too bad. They'll kill you, William Beckett. Well, before we get into our thoughts on this record, make sure you are subscribed. 57 records being played. All of them will be in a playlist down below. Let us know if you like this. Let us know if you like those records. Let us know if you have opinions and thoughts. But you got to subscribe in order to do that. You don't, but you should subscribe because then you'll know when all of our new videos come out, all of our new reviews, all that good stuff.
It's really cool if you do follow. You'll be a cool kid. Here are my thoughts on Viva la Cobra by Cobra Starship. I know Cobra Starship because originally when they came out with Good Girls Gone Bad and Hot Mess, that was my high school years. And with Kesha Core and 303, Hollywood Undead, everything like really being an amalgamation of this party scene that was coming out within this music genre. This was like my shit. I'm on it. It's dancey. It's fun. It's silly. You just want to be able to party. That's about it, is what comes down to this entire album. And I think Cobra Starship as a whole, what we are looking for when it comes to sleazy dance pop during this time, the indie sleaze movement is coming back big time right now. Love it. But this is exactly was the pop offshoot of what we heard on the alternative scene. This is obviously still alternative technically, but what they were doing was certified club bangers. I think Viva la Cobra mixes a lot of that indie sleaze alt rock style plus those club bangers that are still kind of around to this day and really gave people a taste of what this band could do and would do. I just think it's really fun, and if you're going to be highly critical of it, I don't think you enjoy fun.
Here are my thoughts on Viva la Cobra by Cobra Starship. I heard Snakes on a Plane because I was at that movie premiere the night of in Hoffman Estates. And there were people who definitely were friends with William Beckett that were there. And I remember being like, this song bangs. This song is excellent.
Yeah.
So I was very much looking forward to the first Cobra record. And then I listened to the first Cobra record and I was like, I don't want it. I don't like it. It's not good. And so then I was excited for Viva la Cobra because I didn't like that first one so much. And now re-listening to it, I was like, I don't like it. I don't want it. It's not very good. I agree with everything you're saying about it. Like, obviously, don't think too hard about it. But this is so, like, this was 2007. This is right before a lot of that indie sleaze and a lot of the hipster culture stuff that came out more close to, like, 09, 2010, 2011 or so. And I was heavily into that. This is, you know, an American Apparel hoodie on the cover. Like, it is that vibe. And I was very into the vibe and, like, the stunner shades at Warped Tour type thing. And I liked all of that. I just didn't like this music. There's like a thing that Gabe Support is trying to do head automatica, but doesn't want to go full pop head automatica. Because I think head automatica was like, Daryl Palumbo, I was Glassjaw. Now I am just a pop band. And there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There was nothing from that other band. And I think that Gabe is doing a little bit too much midtown in this. There's still a little bit too much alt in this, which is why I think I really like Good Girls Gone Bad and like all the later stuff, because it is just straight up pop. There's no more guitars and there's no more of this middle ground between like what Fueled by Ramen and Decaydance were doing with a lot of their other bands and doing more of like the synthy pop stuff. I don't think Gabe is like that good of a singer on this. I think there's a lot of parts where I'm like, this doesn't sound good to my ear, his singing. And there's so much Patrick Stump on this. And straight up, Gabe Support is outsung by Patrick Stump all over this record.
I mean, anybody will be outsung by Patrick Stump.
But
it's
like,
Patrick Stump.
This is like half a Fall Out Boy record. Really, it's more of a half soul punk, right? Like it's half a Patrick Stump solo record. And I think everywhere I hear Patrick on this record, I'm like, I want that. Like if Patrick Stump was singing on this record, I might feel completely different about it. It's like that straight up jarring of how some of the vocal lines hit to me, that like Gabe is not doing enough of like the pop vocals. He's still doing like midtown. But he's not doing it in a way where like Midtown had some like really soaring parts and like big choruses and big alternative parts. And he's not doing any of that here. And I think it would benefit from it. He's trying to balance the two, it seems. Do more of the good stuff from Midtown and do more of the like big poppy synthy parts so that I have like all of the good things. And it just feels like it's very much a middle ground between the two.
I think this was definitely a transitional album for him specifically, going from that more pop punk emo vibe into entering this new pop scene. This could have been a way of bridging the gap with fans from saying, hey, I'm bringing you from kind of a completely different genre to a new one, but here's a middle ground where I can still say, yes, we're using guitars, we're using similar vocals that Midtown has, but we're throwing in synths. We're getting silly and goofy with the lyrics. We have things that are going to make you want to dance rather than just sit in the back with your arms crossed going, yes, this is really good.
This opens up a space for younger audiences. This opens up a space for bands like 303, Millionaires, Broken Side to do stuff that has no guitars in it at all. To do pop music that is still within the scene, is still within the Warped Tour crowd. It doesn't feel like this is a pop band. You're not going to a mall and watching Katy Perry. You're seeing a band play synth music live. But I do think, you're right. This is a bridge record before we get to things like 303, where it's like, okay, that's just pop. That's just straight up pop or hip hop or whatever you're doing there. And it's dumb and it's stupid and you shouldn't think too much about it, which, this review is not me saying I'm thinking a lot about it. I'm just giving, my honest thoughts about it. Like, I was never a huge Cobra fan. I still am not like a huge Cobra fan. I also understand like Cobra is a beloved artist that bridged the gap between these things. But if I have to pick between Midtown and Cobra, I'm like, man, I'm really glad Midtown got back together. I'm really glad that Midtown did it again because I liked Midtown. I think Midtown was really good. I think this would have been much better off as a Patrick Stump solo record. Everything that Patrick Stump does in this record crushes. Lizzie, tell me, describe, give me the sense. What are your top tracks from this album?
So I really did like One Day Robots Will Cry. It's probably the most alt rock indie sleaze mesh together song on here. You have the moody lyrics. You also have the vocals that are a little bit brighter that bring it back up. This is just a dance song. I will say this is probably more of the like quote unquote serious song on here, with the lyricism being a little bit more traditional, what we think of a pop punk, emo, or like an indie rock band too at the time.
Sure.
This is an indie sleaze rock single.
I do think more of the songs I liked are at the beginning. I mean, I stand by The Cities at War and Guilty Pleasure because those are the pop songs that I want. And I do think that you get Good Girls Gone Bad and later stuff because they did these two songs. I really wish more of the record sounded like those two songs. Like those are definitely my standouts on it. I've definitely enjoyed The Cities at War the more that I've gone back and listened to older stuff that I never really listened to at the time. So I do dig those. I do think though, like, they're not as poppy as you want, and that's why we don't really like hear them a lot. You hear Good Girls Gone Bad at an emo night,
of course,
in the scene, in the culture, but you don't really like. You play Guilty Pleasure, and people are like, "Huh?" And I think that like is a reason. Like there was one that was a radio hit, and there was one that was not.
Prostitution is the world's oldest profession, and I am a professional. That was also a really fun track.
You missed part of that title. And I, dear madam.
Oh, sorry. And I,
Tips
dear
Fedora.
madam. I think this is Jesus Christ.
I hated that song.
No!
I hated it.
This is a really fun synth guitar song. It could be seen as a snapshot on how the scene used the theme of sex during that time as well. We are seeing a lot of different ways that sex is portrayed within the alt-rock, emo, pop-punk scene. And usually it's sometimes exploitative and usually much more male-centric, where I feel here it's switching it up a little bit and making it more lighthearted and something that's going to be more inviting towards a more feminine audience. You know, women should be able to talk about sex and not be demonized for it.
Cool. Do you think a man should be able to talk about women talking about having sex?
You know what? For the time, it was
Does
revolutionary.
Cobra Starship pass the Bechdel test?
Oh my God.
Lizzie, how do you feel about the song Damn You Look Good and I'm Drunk?
I feel like we've all been there.
Look, I did not go into this knowing much, right?
Yeah.
I know Gabe supported and I know American Apparel cover, indie sleaze, whatever. I know that.
Right.
It gets to the part where what I assume are the drag queens doing a little bit in the middle of that song. And I was like, wow, I'm really glad we left this in the past. This is a good thing that we no longer do.
Well, also remember, this is 2007. This can be an album of its time with certain songs.
Yeah. That sounds like a thing we can forgive and not forget. That song was a standout. Like, you really wanted to do the BANANAS. You really wanted to do like this indie sleaze dance pop thing, but it was so specifically bad now, and probably I would have thought it was really bad at the time.
Okay.
I think it's just too derivative of a bunch of other things that it was trying to do. And I do think that spoken word part does not stand up.
That is a song that I re-listened to, and I said, this is really trying to be a bunch of different songs. And I don't know if it was because he was trying to hone in on the parody of it all, and it just went way too far with it.
I think he went too far. I don't think it stands test time.
Yeah.
I also really did not like Kiss My Sass.
Really?
I think the rhythm of that is not good. I like Travie McCoy's part, as I always do.
Of course.
Always love a Travie McCoy feature.
King.
Always love a Gym Class Hero. The rhythm of the synths and the rhythm of that beat, and then like the oh part, like it's just like something's not sounding right here. This like feels like it should have like had a little bit more time to cook before it was like brought to the table, you know? It's undercooked. It's one of the moments when I really noticed like Patrick Stump is doing a lot of work here to save this song. All the best parts of it are just what Patrick Stump is doing and then what Travie McCoy is doing. I like didn't like any of the parts that Gabe was doing. I didn't like any of the parts that any of the other parts going on this. And I know that's like a song that people like, and I'm like, sorry, it's not good though. And that's okay. Cook a little longer. Maybe stir the pot, you know? Any spicy takes for you?
I just think that there are some things on this album that feel like you're doing really well and we're being silly, goofy, and we're having a good time. And then there are other songs that come out and you say, uh-oh, what happened here? And then we move on to the rest of it. But I also think during this era, we saw a lot of similar songs that came out.
Sure.
That obviously were not very great when they were talking about different types of themes and different types of people as well. And it's not to say it's okay now. It's absolutely not okay, but it is definitely a relic to look back on and say, look at how far we've come, ideally.
Come to When We Were Young Fest 2024 to hear it played live in 2024.
It's that meme of the feminism leaves my body.
Yeah. Those are our thoughts. Those are our opinions. But we have one question left to answer. Should you see Cobra Starship play Viva la Cobra in full at When We Were Young 2024?
I think so. I think it'll be a fun little dance party regardless of it. I'm still trying to get tickets to the Brooklyn Bowl show because that would be fantastic. Hit me up if you can get me in.
I mean, this just sort of re-cemented the fact that I'm not a huge Cobra fan. So I'm fine missing that show because it's like, oh, just seeing 303. I would love to see 303. I'm sure I'll see them again some other time. But I know that like this is one of the main reasons why someone would come to When We Were Young Fest because it's the first show back. Gabe was kind of like being coy about it and saying like, yeah, we're not getting Cobra Starship back together. I'm doing Midtown right now. We're reuniting that band, doing the nostalgia tour for that. And that Cobra may or may not reunite. So I think this is a surprise. I think there was clearly a good amount of money that was spent to reunite this band. And I do think of all the records they could play, this is the record they should play. I think this is their most iconic record. I think this is probably not their biggest since there were like major pop radio singles on future records.
Yeah.
But I do think this is the most like scene specific record. I'm not like harshing the vibe of like go see it, be dumb, be goofy, be fun. Dance, shake your ass, whatever. Because I do think like I would want to go and just experience that part of it. I just wouldn't like the songs necessarily. So I'm probably gonna try to show up at the beginning, see the first two songs, and then maybe when I get to a point where I'm like, I'm okay, like I'm gonna step off, I'm gonna walk away from this, then I'll go. I also am curious if they're gonna have the full band.
True.
Because Gabe is the only member on their Spotify.
I noticed that too. I was like, interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. They got a song called Pleasure Ryland, and so Ryland better be there, I guess. So that's where we'll be at When We Were Young 2024. Where will you be? Hopefully, you'll see us at this set. And second of all, you'll be in the comments letting us know if we are going to see you at the set. There's a whole playlist down there of all 57 records that we have reviewed. You should go check it out. You should go listen. You should go check our reviews of everything. It's all there. Listen to it now so that you're prepared for the fest when you get there. Step off the plane, feeling good, snakes on a plane. But until When We Were Young, until Cobra Starship, and until Viva la Cobra, we will see you there.